An Oregon man is suing the U.S. government and an IRS agent because he claims that the IRS agent, Dora Abramson, coerced him into having sex. He was allegedly going through an audit, and as he was going through the audit, apparently she tried to use her power to convince him to have sex with her. She said, you know, if you have sex with me, I might decrease the amount of money that you owe to the government by 40%, or I might just drop it all together, depending on how good the sex is. She didn't say depending on how good the sex is, but you get the point. It's wrong. It's wrong. Okay, if this happened, first of all, if this happened to a woman, can you imagine? Everyone would be outraged. But it happened to a man, and no one cares. Everyone's making fun of it.
Okay, well, let's, first of all, do we have a picture?
We don't have a picture of her. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find a picture.
Well, how am I supposed to judge the case?
Right.
What? Did I say something? Okay. I was about to get worse, but okay. Now, look, here's the reality, right? Of course you're right. Of course it's a terrible double standard. If a man tried to coerce and intimidate and instead of use his power that he has at the IRS to coerce sex out of a woman, arrest, etc., gone, fired, you know, everything, right? And throw the book at him. Now, a woman does it, first of all, we're like, was she hot? Okay, keep it real. Keep it real. Now, look, I'm telling you what's going inside the mind of a man, right or wrong, okay? And so then that leads me to the question of, what would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do?
All right, Jesus of East LA. You've got a woman, let's take JR as example from the production meeting, a 5 out of 10. Okay, you got $50,000 that you owe the IRS. She's like, perhaps we could make this go away. Let's assume you're single, of course, as always. Now, it's unethical. It is. It is. What are you going to do?
It's pretty easy to, if it's a $50,000 bill you owe the government, you screw the government. Yeah.
You're going to prostitute yourself like that?
Yeah, totally.
You were going to screw me. It turns out I screwed you.
I screwed you, exactly.
Yeah, if she's a 7, you call it a win-win.
Oh, totally. I'd probably pay her a couple bucks after. I'd probably take her out to dinner.
Yeah. Hey, now that you got an extra $50,000, you can take her to dinner.
Exactly. Clean slate.
She's a 2.
You guys are the worst. This conversation is ridiculous.
You can't pass up a $50,000 bill, man.
So you're
so
lock,
even
stock, and barrel.
if she's like a -3, you're still gonna do it?
Oh, totally.
Wow.
$50,000.
$50,000 owing the government? Are you fucking kidding me?
What if she says, I'll cut the bill by 40%?
I mean, if I owe the government $50,000, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? So any help,
don't ask me about her,
yeah,
dog.
exactly. Any help I could get.
That's amazing.
Okay, so and the reason we do that is not to condone it, but it's to say, hey, look, that's just the reality of what goes through people's heads. Not every guy, of course. Not every guy is as unprincipled as Jesus or me. Okay, but it is interesting. Like a woman, I would imagine much more so. Not every time, by the way. But much more so would be outraged, turn the guy in, we hope, etc. I'm telling you, she's a 7 or an 8. I'm not throwing Jesus on the bus. I'm with him. If I was single and I'm going to get out a $50,000 bill and I'm going to have good sex, I'm like, where's the question?
So apparently she was sending him text messages, like sexy text messages, pictures of her wearing lingerie. She would show up to his house wearing lingerie and a coat over it. Like,
if she's a 7, that's the greatest thing that ever happened.
You have evidence. Okay, so if she's a 7 and you'd want to sleep with her anyway, okay, fine. I guess you're like the luckiest man on the planet and something that never... Let me just tell you something.
But Anna, you wouldn't do it? Like, why wouldn't you do it? Say the cop from Miami that you saw yesterday, you're like, oh, he's pretty hot. And you owe the fucking government $50K.
But in that case, because he's hot, I'd sleep with him because I genuinely want to sleep with him. If a so-called 5 shows up at my door and says like, have sex with me,
but if he's gonna get you out of $50,000, you still
no, I'm not gonna sleep with some guy because I want to get out of $50,000. I'm gonna wear a wire, or I'm gonna save his text messages, and I'm gonna bust his ass. And you know what? I'll pay the government back in payments. I'm not going to sleep with someone that I don't want to sleep with.
All right.
So, but that's the fascinating line, right? That's where she draws the line. If I would sleep with him anyway. Whereas we think, Well,
I'd get through this. I mean, it's gonna take me longer to pay 50,000. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
could
yeah.
clear this bill
in half
3
an hour.
minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes. Okay.
Get this done, girl.
I hope she's getting her money's worth. It gets a little longer than 3 minutes with you. Humanity is fascinating. That's why we do the show.
Like, women hold on to sex so much more. And then even if he was a 7 or 8, a woman may say, oh, that guy that was auditing me was hot, but he just offered me sex to get rid of it. He's suddenly disgusting to me. And men are like, she's still hot. And what do I get out of this? Like, we don't lose the what we just saw.
Look, I'm not one of those women who's trying to hold the pussy on a pedestal, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all, okay? But what I'm saying is I don't like to be exploited in my, like, vulnerable state. And also, I like to have sex with people I want to have sex with. Like, I don't want to force myself to have sex with an individual who's trying to exploit me.
God, men and women are so awesomely different. Because if I was in a vulnerable state and a hot woman wants to take advantage of me, I'm like, oh, no, please don't. I'm so vulnerable.